a lot of things going on, but of course, most notably, the GOP, in my opinion, the GOP establishment anyway, has made their choice in terms of who they would like to see replace Donald Trump.
Clearly, it's Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley is clearly their gal. This is who they want. And she has had quite a few gaffes, not surprising. But this gaffe was a big one.
It's not a gaffe.
Well,
no,
actually, it's a moment of clarity.
I think it's a moment of clarity, and I think it's also the virtue signal to who her real people are. That's what I think. Because
Please, what was the cause of the United States Civil War?
Well, don't come with an easy question or anything. I mean, I think the cause of the Civil War was basically how government was going to run, the freedoms and what people could and couldn't do. What do you think the cause of the Civil War was? I'm sorry?
I'm not running for president. I want to see your view on the cause of the Civil War.
I mean, I think it always comes down to the role of government. We need to have capitalism. We need to have economic freedom. We need to make sure that we do all things so that individuals have the liberties so that they can have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to do or be anything they want to be without government getting in the way.
Thank you. And then in the year 2023, it's astonishing to me that you answer that question without mentioning the word slavery.
What do you want me to say about slavery?
You answered my question. Thank you.
Next question.
Yeah,
but we're not done, because if you think that this was a moment in time where Nikki Haley is just thinking about running for president, and she certainly is, it turns out that
there was some damage control to be done.
She had a little bit of a slip of tongue, and this is going all the way back to 2010.
Okay, so this is an old clip.
What's your belief about the reason the Civil War was fought?
I mean, again, I think that as we look in government, as we watch government, you have different sides. And I think that you see passions on different sides. And I don't think anyone does anything out of hate. I think what they do is they do things out of tradition and out of beliefs of what they believe is right. I think you had one side of the Civil War that was fighting for tradition, and I think you had another side of the Civil War that was fighting for change. So, you know, I think it was tradition versus change is the way I see it.
Tradition versus change on what?
On individual rights and liberty of people.
Okay, so I have so many problems. But to me, it is very, very apparent what she's doing both times. When she was asked in the recent clip, what is the cause of the Civil War? She knew exactly what not only is the truth, but what was expected of her. But yet she also knows that there is a whole group of donors, supporters, people that she's not allowed to say the S word. Okay?
Especially in South Carolina.
Exactly. Now, this is someone who was the governor of South Carolina.
The first state to secede from the Union when Lincoln won.
So to act in any way generic and obtuse about the Civil War, when you know damn well what it really was it is about the right to own humans as part of your economics. Yes, it was their economy. I get that, but they needed to own humans. That's the bottom line. This is what this was about. She knows damn well. But the truth is what she's playing to is the same audience that in her mind, there's no way I'm getting elected governor of South Carolina if I call out slavery. That's just not going to happen. And it's the same thing. This was well thought out on her part to not say that word. It's almost like something you don't say if you want to rise in the Republican Party in the South. You don't say that. That's just what it was clear to me that she very purposefully sidestepped it.
South Carolina has always been the unofficial Dixie state. It was the first state that seceded from the Union. It's the first state that...
I've been to Fort Sumter.
Yeah, well, that's the start of the Revolutionary War. And so there are a lot of traditions in what you would... Yeah, that's right. But South Carolina is also where... it was the incubation stage for the revolution. A lot of people don't know that, or maybe a lot of people do. So there was a lot of deep-seated traditions in what I consider South Carolina to be the Antlebaum of the South, which it is in many ways. Their traditions have not changed.
No.
And even when they elect a brown woman as their governor, this is what is meant in many left circles when they say that just because you put a brown face on white supremacy doesn't mean that it changes.
They say it's like brown faces in high places, but the problem is that there's no way that you are going to be in the Republican Party in South Carolina and have any sort of criticism of slavery in the South.
And keep in mind, because I get really sick and tired of people, lampooning the Republican Party is that it's all the same everywhere. It's not.
No.
Okay. It just so happens that of all the states that get a significant say in the nominating process in the two major parties in this country, South Carolina has a undue amount of influence in the political process.
Yeah.
I can remember back in 2016 when Trump won, not when Trump won the New Hampshire primary, it was when Trump won in South Carolina that everyone started really taking his campaign seriously and thought that he was going to win the nomination. That was the watershed moment, not New Hampshire, that was South Carolina. And the same thing happened in 2016, well, more so 2020, when all of a sudden, I will bless you, Joe Biden, Jim Clyburn. Of course, they had their plan all along, but of course, Jim Clyburn anoints Biden, buries Bernie, and away you go. And so that's the undue influence of South Carolina politics.
And it is a big and this is something that I learned when I went to the Stop Cop City event weekend and yes, that's Georgia. But one of the things in the South that is a huge problem is what this group, and yes, these are definitely the leftists, refer to as the Black misleadership class.
Yeah.
And the Black misleadership class is people like your, Stacey Abrams, Jim Clyburn, the people that basically will hold water for the Democratic Party despite
as long as they can rise in their career.
Right, and maintain their own position in that white structure, then they're fine maintaining it and they're fine keeping everybody down.
And this is really the whole point about saying
absolutely.
slavery, because we still have slave labor. Like that still exists today.
I actually think it's even more than that. I think that just in general, for the most part, when you look at this country, anybody who is in that group of people where they couldn't afford a $400 emergency, anybody in that group of people is a slave.
Correct.
Those people are slaves to capital in a way where they will never get their feet under them and they will consistently forever be in that class. However, then there is also prison slavery, like
Correct.
Literal prison slavery.
Donald, the problem in South Carolina is not that everyone wants white supremacy.
No.
Quite frankly, most people overwhelmingly do not want that. But there is a select group of people that basically pull the strings, and that is what they want.
And I'm saying, and I also very specifically said in the Republican Party.
Correct.
So when you're somebody like Nikki Haley and you're rising in the Republican Party, your message is not necessarily the same if you're a black person rising.
No, the Democratic Party has it almost the same. The difference is in the Republican Party, it's much more overt. Like they will just come out and say, like, you're not going to say the word slavery.
Yeah.
Because if you think you're going to get the antebellum money, you're not getting it if you don't do what we say.
Are you trying to say antebellum?
Antebellum. I'm sorry. Did I say antebellum? I'm sorry. Antebellum.
You make it sound like a Jewish person. Antebellum.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.